Alrighty. So Jim, tell us all about your operation there in Long Beach, all that you all do, and what you offer to the industries.
All right. Well, just like the name of the company, Aviation Repair Solutions, our focus is 100% on aircraft parts.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, what we do is hard chrome plating,
Mm-hmm.
grinding, and non destructive testing. And we do that for the repair of pretty much high value aircraft parts.
Mm.
Um, we're an FAA repair station. In industry, we would be called an MRO,
Mm-hmm.
which means maintenance, repair, and overhaul. And so we use plating as part of a string of processes to
Mm-hmm.
complete a repair. And so that typically consists of removing the previous coating, either by stripping it or grinding it, and then doing an inspection of the part through our NDT processes, plating it, and then finish grinding it to the original dimensions that the OEM called for.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Curious, are there a lot of operations like yourselves that does the repair and then also the finishing in house as well, or is that something that is unique?
There's not a lot. There's a few around the country. There's one in Alabama. There's one or two in Phoenix, and another one
Okay.
in Oklahoma. So it really is pretty specialty, I think. There's not a lot of us.
Yeah,
I
because you
guess
really got
that's a
to know
good
what you're doing in those specific areas, and it's each one in itself is can be a challenge and expertise required, right?
yeah.
Yeah, gotcha with that. And yeah, like I said, and are these mostly parts? These are you're working directly from the airlines, correct? I mean, they're sending you parts over, or how is that working with
Yeah,
that?
so our customer base really splits up into kind of three typical areas. One is the airlines themselves, and for airlines like American Airlines, Lufthansa use us. They have their own back shops,
Mm-hmm.
and basically, when something comes off of an airplane, it's a component, which is an assembly. And a component repair facility will do that disassembly. And if an airline has their own component repair capability in house, that's where that happens. But
Mm-hmm.
secondarily to the airlines, there's a whole array of component repair facilities around the US who are really make up the big, number of our customer base. And so we have a lot of repair station customers. And then we also have a lot of OEM customers where an OEM will, in support of the stuff that they manufacture, offer warranty service and they may need to send stuff in for repair. So it's
Gotcha.
really those three categories of types of customers, and they spread, across defense, but and also commercial, but
Gotcha.
mostly commercial type operations. Typical platforms that you would say we're on run from the 747 on down to turboprops like
Mm.
the ATR 42, ATR 72, Q400 size airplanes. And some helicopters also have a lot of parts content that includes chrome plating.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I guess your company is pretty much attractive because it can do everything under one roof, right? And that things not to be sent around, finger pointing. You all take it and send it back to them ready to reinstall, correct? From that
Yeah,
one.
the manuals define this string of processes that's necessary to repair a part, and we try to do all of that in house, and that
Mm-hmm.
allows us to control our turn times, which are
Mm-hmm.
important to our customers because obviously an airplane that costs $150 million, they don't want it just sitting around waiting for parts. They need to get it active and flying.
Right.
So it's a
Right.
turn time business, and by having all those processes in house, we're able to get the part back quickly.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I saw on your site. I mean, you really specialize in the chrome on aluminum, and also you've got a proprietary for titanium. Correct? Is those some things you've developed over the years? With that?
Yeah. So, I mean, yes, we do kind of all aerospace metals, including stainless steels, but we a little bit uniquely, have the ability to do aluminum and titanium. We have a proprietary process to plate chrome directly on titanium.
Mm.
So that's a feather in our cap, I guess. Um, yeah.
So are these scheduled? Are these scheduled maintenance issues that are come up that they're required to do it on a scheduled basis, or is it to the point where there's a repair needed? How is that?
Well, off of an airplane, there's two different kinds of maintenance. One is sort of preventative, and there's inspections that take place every certain time interval or landings intervals, and the component will come off of an airplane, and the component repair facility will do an inspection on those intervals and decide if something needs to be repaired or not, and then it would come to us. But then there's also what they call on condition repairs, in which leaks might be noticed and a
Mm.
part would have to come off at that point. So most all of that activity takes place at our customers' facilities or at an airline, and then we're kind of at the tail end of that whole process of the disassembly happening, and then that central core cylinder or piston coming to us for a repair.
Gotcha. Yeah,
It's also
yeah.
buffered a
Mm.
little bit because since the aircraft is so expensive and nobody wants to let it sit around, they have rotable pools, which
Mm.
consist of completed units that can immediately go back on an airplane, and then the supply base sort of rebuilds that rotable unit to be ready
Gotcha.
for the next event.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Like I said, so I guess you're, being having some pretty good turnaround times, I guess, to keep those parts going, and nobody wants to be waiting for those with such. But so this is your 20th year, right? 20th. Founded it in 2006. Is that right? 20 years. This is
Yeah, the
you're in the.
company I acquired the company in 2006, but prior to that, this was a U.S. Chrome facility,
Mm,
their westernmost facility, and the facility that they had that really focused on the aviation industry.
mm.
I came out of McDonnell Douglas and Boeing, and was 5 miles from my house, so it kind of gave me an opportunity to participate as an entrepreneur, if you want to call it that, in the
Mm-hmm.
business that I'd already been in. It was
Mm-hmm.
5 miles from my house, so I didn't have to travel around the world and could take it a little easier, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say you were again over a 2 decade career with Boeing, right? Or was
Yeah.
it? Yeah. With that, what did you do for Boeing at that point?
I did a lot of different things at Boeing, kind of an accountant by education, but
Mm-hmm.
I got pushed into being an industrial engineer, where I got to kind of rotate through the company and see all aspects of how Douglas Aircraft built airplanes. And that ended up being a big benefit because they then put me in accounting, and I could keep track of costs and relate them to the processes that I saw being performed. And so it was a good education. I really learned how to build aircraft and how we did that.
Right.
Um,
Right. I was going to say towards the end of your career there at Boeing, were you doing a lot with? How much did I guess my point? How much did you know about the finishing, grinding, all the repair aspect? You were, I guess, since you were probably the person that paid the bills for them, you knew a lot about it then. But
I knew zero about coding and finishing and plating.
mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was really good that I have a good staff here,
Mm-hmm.
who really know that angle of the business. And I really took on the role of just sort of managing the processes here and the people here, and making sure that work came in the door, which is
Gotcha.
important. You know, getting the work in the
Mm-hmm.
door is
Yeah.
important for a facility like this, and that was what I brought to the party, I think.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, like I said, well, if you've got people that know how to do it, then you don't necessarily need to be an expert at it. If you got people that can do that part, and you're right, with your connections in the industry and your credentials of really working towards getting customers and acquiring them and adding to what you had, and I guess that was what you focused on initially. I guess when you got into it.
Yeah, and since then I've learned a little bit about plating, I think. So
Forced to it. Yes,
I couldn't
exactly. With
help it.
that. Right, right. And how many people do you have working there at your operation now?
We have 18 people here.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. And just how is business these days? It seems like maybe people are trying to hold on to parts as long as they possibly can, get them refurbished instead of swapping out new ones. Is that to your benefit then, or?
Well, business is very, very strong right now. You have
Hmm.
a situation coming out of COVID where there was a lot of deferred maintenance.
Mm.
Number one. Number two, Boeing is having some issues in delivering 737s and other airplanes because of, things that we've all heard about in the news, and FAA
Hmm.
sort of holding them back on the line rate a little bit. And that means that, and also there's been some trouble with Airbus aircraft in terms of some engines that aren't working out quite as well as everybody expected. And all of that has sort of come together, and it's kept older airplanes flying for longer.
Mm.
And that's really good for our business because they need repairs. And
Right.
there we are. So
Mm.
things are strong, things are busy right now, and we're looking forward to a few more good years.
Right, right, definitely, yeah. With that, and I know, like I said, you and I have had some kind of conversations about what's going on with the industry as far as the regulatory things. I know you were a very vocal um, advocate for the industry when in the last couple of years, where regulations, carve, and those type of things were really taking some uh, draconian steps. Don't want to say scientific steps because I think you and I agree they weren't really very well rooted in science with that. What is the outlook for what you're doing and with some of the regulations that are in place now with that?
Well, California, couple 3 years back, CARB worked to, I guess I would say, place all of the regulation in California on a consistent basis. Before that, the Southern California Air Quality Management District was really our
Mm-hmm.
regulator here. And they had and still have the toughest rules in the industry, which we and many of my competitors were meeting, still are meeting. And yet, other parts of California did not have that regulation. And so I think
Mm.
CARB came in and was going to apply what we call Rule 1469, AQMD Rule 1469 to the
Mm-hmm.
entire state. So they did that, but they also did two additional things, which was increase the frequency of our source test requirements by 250%. It's a very
Mm.
expensive thing. So, and then secondly, they said that they heard that trivalent chromium was a suitable substitute for hex chrome plating, and therefore we're going to mandate that chrome platers switch over to trivalent chrome. Um, and they set a time frame to do that, and also said that by 2039 there could be no more hexavalent chrome plating in the state of California.
Mm.
So that's a problem
Mm.
because hex chrome plating is defined as, you know, the acceptable method to do what we do on aircraft parts. It's written into all the overhaul manuals. It's the FAA approved method for repairing parts.
Mm.
And everything I know about trivalent chrome, which isn't everything, but it's, I get it. Um, Trivalent chrome can't plate on to parts as thickly as hex chrome can. Therefore, for damaged parts where there's wear or dings in the part, it's not going to fill in that ding, and so it's not a suitable repair replacement at this time. And
Mm.
it doesn't appear from what I understand that trivalent chrome is ever going to get there in terms of replacing what we would need to do on an aircraft part. So I'm in the position of looking at a 15-year window before we would have to shut down. Now it's 13
Mm.
years. Um,
Mm.
and, California was the heart of aerospace
Aerospace.
manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a sad situation that we have this worldwide and national infrastructure of aircraft that need to be supported in order to fly. And, here you got the state of California out there on its own, mandating an end to a process for which there is no other viable technology.
Right.
And if there
Right.
was a viable technology and it came in today, um, the aircraft aren't all going to be redesigned around that process, and they have 20 or 30-year lives.
Mm.
So the real practical phase out for chrome plating, if a substitute came in, is probably a 20 or 30-year long window.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
there we are.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, your customers want hexavalent chromium, and they're going to go where they can go to get it. I mean, because it is a superior finish, the ultimate finish, correct? I mean, that's what they want, and uh, I guess that's the unfortunate is that if you can't deliver it for them, they may have to go to another state or country to get it done, which is unfortunate for that.
Yeah, and the reality here in Southern California is that I think most customers here would need to go to Mexico or maybe Arizona or Nevada. Um, but
Hmm.
we also know that other states do look at California and try and follow what California did. And I hope that if that happens, those states will not just look at what California did and say, oh, what they did must be acceptable just because they did it, but actually look at the science because there were some flaws, in my view, in terms of the analysis that CARB did in setting that rule.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, it's very unfortunate with that. But like you said, 13 years, almost over 10 years, you've got to do this, and business is still good. And like I said, you all do quality, very excellent work, and that's why your customers are coming back. Have you changed much about the company over the past? I know you've had it for 20 years, but over the past 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, or is it pretty much consistently doing the same things that you have been doing with that?
Well, we added in the NDT processes, which
Okay.
were a
Right.
critical part of that whole repair process, and it improved the turn times of the business overall to have the in-house capability to do those inspections. But in addition to that, when I first bought the company, our biggest customer was American Airlines, and
Hmm.
we did a lot of work to support their MD-80 fleet. MD-80s, Americans gotten rid of them all. They've aged obviously out, and so a big part of our work here has been in rotating onto newer aircraft.
Hmm.
So we now do a lot of support for the 737. We get 787 parts, which is Boeing's newest airplane, and so a lot of the work has been in establishing capability on newer aircraft parts.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha.
but
Yeah.
in house, it's basically the same people. We've got some younger people in that we're training and just ready to keep moving on down the road.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, and it seems like with is there a very fast turnaround time that was requested with a lot of these, or I know you said sometimes they'll put other parts on. They're not. It's not just the plane isn't sitting waiting for that particular part, but they're waiting for a part that'll replace that. But is there very demanding turnaround times with that, or and
Honestly, I think for your industry, I'll call it our industry, but
mm-hmm.
kind of it's not. I think people would look at my turn times and they'd say, wow, that's like luxurious to have 3 to 6 weeks to complete a job, right? Because a lot of guys in our business get pallets and they of parts and they need to have them turned in 2 or 3 days.
Right.
But a good turn time for us and our business is 15 days, 15 working
Gotcha.
days out to about 6 weeks. But I'm really putting together a string of processes there. We're doing a
Hmm.
lot of hand masking. Sometimes we have maskants that need to cure for a while with multiple coats. We go through a lot of baking and de-stressing processes. So things add up. And additionally, there are some repairs that call for additional coatings, like say cadmium at the end of a process, and we'll
Mm.
use um, other metal finishers in order to do some of those other plating processes.
Gotcha. Yeah. And like I said, I guess is it it's got to be hard, like I said, when you get some of that news like you're talking about with regulations and everything, is to keep your staff. I'm sure everybody's thinking, we still gonna have a job here and everything, but I guess, 10, 12, 13 years down the road, but it's got to be a little bit difficult, when you're trying to inform everybody that, hey, we're still going and we'll be here up until, they close the doors on you, whatever that could be, 10, 15 years down the road. But
Well, yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, I have an older workforce, so a lot
mm,
of us, including myself, are looking at that 15 years, going, "Hey, no problem."
hmm
But you really, you do want to bring in good young people, and you want to
hmm
be able to offer a career. I
hmm
want to be able to offer a career to people, and my philosophy about this business is that you can have a career here. I mean, it's
hmm
expensive to live in Southern California, but our employees, for the most part, are able to buy houses and live good middle class lives. So you want to be able to offer that. And if a young person comes in here now, I got to be honest with them and say, there is this situation where the CARB has put a limit on what can be done here. And that's really unfortunate because this place could be a very good opportunity for some
hmm
people in the community that we're in that don't want to choose an
hmm
office career or
Right.
that kind of thing. So that's the hard part about that whole thing. Yep.
Right. Yeah, it's very fascinating work. I mean, really, it truly is, and it's interesting work, and I think enjoying work for a lot of people. I think who get a part in, recondition it, spend that time really knowing the importance of what these parts do.
Right.
You cannot dismiss that at all of the reliability these parts need. So it has to be taken with care and skill to do this for
That's
sure.
correct. And in the repair side of the business, it's handwork and it's individual work because each part is different. It might be damaged a little bit different.
Hmm.
But these are critical parts. So we're talking about parts that move flight control surfaces on the aircraft that are part of flight control actuation. We're talking about landing gear parts. We're talking about thrust reverser parts. These are all flight critical types of things. So yeah, I think the employees do feel some satisfaction that they're contributing to the safety of the flying public, and people take their jobs seriously here and are accountable for the work. So it's a good workforce that way.